"Do you think you could at least drive me into town?" I said. "I haven't been able to charge my phone this whole time, and I promised my mom I'd text." The girls said the cabin didn't have electricity. They say it's because they were being very eco-friendly and loved the great outdoors experience. But I found that hard to believe given that there were multiple outlets in the house, and there was an 80-inch TV in the game room, and from one of my room's windows I could see a utility pole just beyond the trees. "I can come with you guys when you go pick up food again today," I pressed, hoping Alice would finally say yes. Haley came over to where I sat, surprising me when she decided to sit on my lap and comb my hair with her fingers. "Don't be so worried, hon," she whispered in my ear. "We've already told the sheriff's office. They'll reach out to your parents as soon as they can. They'll tell them you're doing just fine." The way her sweet voice whispered into my ear and her fingers twirled around in my hair gave me goosebumps. My body said yes, but my mind said, "Run." That night I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. I needed to get out of there. Yes, they were hot, and yes, this was something I always dreamed would happen to me, but something about the situation was more than a little suspicious. Did I get kidnapped? I asked myself. I tried to open the door but realized that it was locked. Panic began to creep into me. I opened the window in the room and saw the steel bars that made sure whoever was inside couldn't get out. I couldn't leave. Panic began setting in. I paced, thinking of a way to escape. Suddenly I began to feel tired, and the worry and stress tired me out even more, and so I fell asleep. I woke up the next day and the girls acted as if nothing was wrong. I didn't know how to ask why they locked my door and why there were bars on my windows. They kept telling me that by the end of the week, the mechanic would drive up with my vehicle. But that weekend never came. On my third week with the girls, I finally asked, "Why won't you let me out?" Haley gasped. T dropped her cup of tea, and Alice stood up from her favorite armchair. I almost regretted asking the question. "Because, hon," Alice said, slowly walking up to me, until her nose was almost touching mine, "you're our little pet now." I knew I was supposed to be scared. I knew nothing about what she said was safe, but somehow all I could think of, as she grabbed my arm and led me back to my room, was how hot that was. I was, after all, at the height of my teenage hormones. The days went on, and the ladies eventually left the door to the room where I slept unlocked, and I was finally able to roam the house at night when they were asleep. I tried to tell myself that shacking up with 3 hot ladies in their 20s wasn't such a bad life, but I remembered what waited outside. My parents, my friends, the school I still needed to go back to. And so I started planning my exit. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find any means of escape. One night I was prowling around, trying my best to be as quiet as possible, when the light beside Alice's armchair flicked on. "What you doin'?" she said, fixing a suspicious glare at me. I felt fear run up and down my spine. I was just going to get some juice," I replied almost convincingly. "Oh?" She looked me up and down. "Come here." I did. Alice had a way of making me do things I was afraid of. It was something in her voice. She patted the armrest with her hand, telling me to sit there. I did. My body trembled with both fear and anticipation, unsure of what was about to happen. Did she know I was trying to escape? "Come here," she said, her sweet voice laced with a dark edge. Her hands guided me towards her, making me lean back until my back lay on her lap, and my head was cradled in her arms. She ran her fingers through my hair, humming softly, as if she were trying to put a baby to sleep. "What, huh?" I asked Alice. "What are you doing?" "Shh," she said, putting one of her fingers against my lips. "Go to sleep." I heard her heartbeat as I rested my face against her chest, and soon enough, I was out cold. I wasn't really sure how long I'd been staying with the girls, but I think it was around a month when I finally managed to escape. Haley and T were in the sunroom, Haley having her usual tea and cake before bed, and T was reading an old magazine. That night they'd dressed me up as a butler, and I was waiting on the two girls while Alice was on a late-night supply run. Haley locked eyes with me. She held up her teaspoon and dropped it, her eyes never breaking contact with mine as the spoon clanged on the stone floor. T went to pick it up. "Let him," said Haley, a hint of teasing in her voice. "Yes, madam," I said obediently. I had to admit at that point, I was beginning to like being ordered around. While I was on the floor, I looked up at Haley. She was looking down at me. As I looked up, I also noticed the girl's legs. My eyes trailed the length of smooth skin that stretched all the way up to their skirts. I felt hot around the ears, and so I tried to calm myself by looking away. At that moment, I noticed a door I never saw before. It looked as if it led to the basement, which I'd never been to. What excitement I felt immediately went away, as my heart began pounding against my chest. "Freedom," I thought. "What are you still doing down there, Alex?" said an impatient Haley. "Give me my teaspoon." Luckily, T saw me looking up at her legs moments ago. "I think I know what's happening," she giggled. "Give the boy a break, Haley. Go on, go," she said to me, shooing me away with her hand. "Go somewhere until that goes away." I thanked the stars for aligning at that very moment. My hormones finally did something useful, I thought. I slowly stood, bending down and pretending to hide something in my pants as I ran off, faking embarrassment. I heard the two girls laughing their heads off as I snuck through the door to the basement. I saw moonlight streaming through the broken window. "Jackpot," I whispered. I don't even remember how I squeezed out that window. All I know is that I did. I ran and stumbled through the woods as fast as I could, followed a river, and then eventually found a town. I knocked on the first door I saw, and this kind old lady who answered the door took me to the sheriff. The rest, as they say, was history. I drive a minivan now. It's no chick magnet, but it's never broken down on me yet. They always say never pick up hitchhikers. But the lesson I will always remember is that you should never, ever hitchhike.